like little lines. I don't know if they're blood vessels or what, but it didn't look like a rock to me. So it made me, I grabbed a very small corner of it and turned it over and saw the teeth and eye sockets and immediately put it back to confirm.
And you went and met the EMT, and you told the EMT over and over again that you knew what burned bodies looked like because you'd been in Iraq. Just what you said on the 911 call.
Yes.
Okay. And did you pass Amanda on the way?
From after I called 911 and started heading up to go meet them, yes, Amanda was standing in the driveway.
Okay. And is that when you told them about the missing revolver in the basement?
I never told them.
You never told them about the missing revolver in the basement?
Amanda, no.
You told Chad, didn't you?
No, I never told Chad.
Okay. And eventually, what appears to be every member of, at some point, we got a witness list in this case that covered essentially Cherokee County shows up, right? All of Cherokee County law enforcement, EMTs, fire department, everybody shows up on this scene.
Sorry.
And within minutes, you went and spoke to Detective Kuykendall, yes? You remember him? Tall guy. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Always would apologize before he had to ask you a question, or anybody a question for that matter. Remember him? Not him. The other guy. Tall guy.
Yeah,
You got in the car with him.
yes, I got in a vehicle with 3 other people. 1 person was the driver, 2 in the back, I believe.
Okay. And is that the first time you decided to tell? That was the moment you chose. You got a hold of Kuykendall and you told him about your immediate suspicions of your mother and that a gun was missing. Do you remember that?
Yes, I told him that I found a gun several weeks prior, and for them to search that house and try to find it, because I didn't try to continue finding it. I only checked that one drawer. So I told them to search the rest of the property.
So when did you search? Oh, sorry, I missed that. When did you say you searched the house looking for that missing gun? Because you were looking for the missing gun before you talked to Kuykendall.
No, when I went down to go check to see if my dad's CPAP machine was there and if his shotgun was there, that's when I remember that gun being in that drawer. So I just went over there to check to see if it was still there. It was not there.
And that was before you told Kuykendall or Amanda?
That was before we even found my father.
Before you found it?
Yes.
You were looking for a missing gun?
Because I remember that gun being there, and I just wanted to make sure if that gun was still there or not.
Okay. So you told Detective Kuykendall, and you love law enforcement, yes? Like you want to be law enforcement.
Yes,
you said you tried even after this to be law enforcement. Yes?
After what?
After your father's death, you tried to get into law enforcement. You testified to that earlier. Yes?
Not after all this happened with my father, because I was told that I wouldn't be able to do anything because I was considered as a suspect in an investigation.
Who told you that?
I don't remember who told me that, but I was just kind of informed on that, and it's kind of a no-brainer if I'm going through such a traumatic event and all. I don't see how a law enforcement will hire me on and when I'm being investigated for this.
That's valid. So you then told Kuykendall, from that moment on, they were looking for a gun. Now, when you went into the basement, did you see any blood?
Yes, I noticed 1 drop of blood.
Where was that drop of blood?
It was heading towards the stairway, kind of the small, narrow point between a wall and the bar.
Was it one of these drops of blood?
It would have been number 4.
You saw that one?
I saw that drop.
Is that where you would come in the house, typically, always? You said that's where you would eat your dinner.
I would come down from the stairs and go sit in the chair over there and eat.
The chair with the ottoman?
Yes.
This chair?
Yes.
Where that bullet is? Do you see that bullet? Have you ever seen that bullet before?
No, I've never seen that bullet before.
That's a bullet. And you've never seen that in the basement?
No.
So you say you saw this droplet of blood. Now I do want to go back and note, you, days before, you were bit by a snake. And it sounds that you enter and exit through the basement door, or the American doors, as Mr. Fogus puts it. Would it not have made sense that you entered through the basement and gone up the stairs to get the iodine there?
I never would have entered through the basement. If I ever came over to the house, I came in through the garage or the front door.
That's a better picture of the bullet. I'm sorry I couldn't show you earlier. Do you know what kind of bullet that is, sir? I know you do.
There's different types of like rounds and how they expand and all, but I've seen something similar to that with it.
What is that part right there?
It appears to me the plastic, because I know I've seen rounds that have like a reddish or green plastic in the bullet, and that could be range from 9mm to 45 caliber and so forth.
Right. And 38s?
Possibly, yes.
Sure. And so in your experience, what is the purpose of these, this plastic in the bullet? Do you know?
That I do not know.
Okay. You like hollow points. Do you know the difference between things like that?
Yes, I know the difference between a hollow point and, target practice type stuff.
So what would be the purpose of that plastic in that bullet?
I really
Don't know?
Don't
Okay.
know.
That's fine. But as you walked up the stairs, you saw no other blood, yes?
No, I saw no other blood.
So and at the top of the stairs, you saw no blood in the dining room. I'm trying to find the picture of the dining room. Here we go. Up here, you saw no blood.
No, sir, I did not.
No blood here.
No, sir.
No blood on this chair.
No, sir.
Anywhere on this rug.
No.
No splatter on the walls.
No.
And you then continued to tell the story of this gun. Who else did you tell the story of the gun to?
That day?
That day.
I only remember talking to, detectives and all.
Okay.
So
Here's something interesting that I would like to ask you. So you've just found out that your father, well, you just allegedly found out, that your father has been burned to death on a burn pile. Yes?
I knew there was human remains in the burn pile. My father was missing, and it had to be a very good percentage chance that it was going to be him.
But your instant thoughts, you go downstairs, you're looking for an alleged gun that was somewhere in the basement that only you saw. Your father's burned to death, you don't think, well, we should probably look to see what accelerants might have been used. You don't go looking for gasoline, do you? Or anything for that matter. You immediately went to a gun. You went and looked for a gun. Yes?
No, I went to try to figure out where my father was, and when I went to go check for the shotgun, I remember that gun being there. It just, something wanted me to go make sure that it was still there or not. I didn't know if it was anywhere else in the house. Where I last saw it, that's where I went to go check because of her behavior and everything. It's something it was very fishy about the whole situation.
Right, and that is what you've told everyone for 6 years. But you didn't go look for a missing knife. Yes or no?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. You have a property that is a farm property. And on that farm property, I imagine there's some kind of poisons. Yes?
Sure, there's some kind of chemical that if somebody drank it will cause harm.
Okay. But in all of this, and you've testified that you had no idea that there was a bullet in your father until about midnight. And I mean, we've had previous witnesses come into this case and say when they found the bullet in your father's rib. But 10 hours, 12 hours before this bullet is found, you have set them off looking for things. You have been controlling where they go and what they do, have you not?
No, I'm not controlling. I just asked them to search the house to see if they could find that gun because I knew something bad had happened.
That's right, you did. And I know you knew that. But wouldn't it make more sense? And I think that's where you made a mistake again. Wouldn't you agree?
Objective, argumentative, sustained.
You didn't go looking for anything else that possibly could have caused the death of your father. Correct?
No.
You were interviewed many times in this case. Yes?
Oh, yes.
How many times do you remember?
I've lost count. Over couple years, there was multiple times.
And you would agree some of them were very lengthy interviews, yes?
Oh, yes.
You would agree that Detective Hayes and Detective Kuykendall believed you. Wouldn't you agree with that? That they liked you. You liked them and they liked you.
I mean, no, they were doing their job and I was trying to help them out on the information. And whatever questions they asked me, I gave, my answers to and all. I mean, I was trying to help find out what happened to my father.
Earlier you stated that your mother, in the year following this, she was trying to constantly make things up about you. Have you arrested or something to that effect? But isn't it true that you called 911 multiple times on your mother that year? You remember that? I have the recordings if you'd like to listen to them.
I do not remember calling 911 on her. I know there's a couple times I've had to call 911. When the trailer came up missing, and two, when Chad started harassing me that day at the driveway.
Do you remember calling 911 saying that your mother had gone through your apartment.
So on my apartment, when I called 911 for that, she actually called me and told me that my apartment was ransacked. Someone broke into my apartment. So I was working for my friend Justin at the nursery at that time. So I ran up to him and was like, dude, I gotta go. Somebody broke into my house. So I went home and my apartment was ransacked. So I called 911.
And there was accusations at one point that you threatened your mother over that year. Do you remember that? 2019. After we've moved on from the 5th. Do you remember that?
Did I threaten my mother?
You
No.
were under investigation by the city of Woodstock because Cherokee could not investigate you. That kind of as a impartial third party, Woodstock investigated that. Yes? Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember having to go out to Woodstock Police Department and talk with them. They said I threatened her, but that never happened.
Okay. So initially, you were not. Michael, can we get it so that I can play the video? The Facebook video. Plug it in right here. These are the Facebook videos, Jeff.
What did you give us?
That we gave you, yes.
No worries.
Do you have any objection?
None? Talking about guns, firearms?
Yes. You testified and have made multiple statements that you did not have handguns. Yes? On the property?
I told what handguns were, and you've shown a picture of the one I knew of.
Okay. I'm going to show you some Facebook videos, and Judge, we will have to mark these, I think, later following this as far as Scott exhibit, but I'm
I'll
just...
stipulate whatever number they are.
Okay.
John, AR-15, here's some tactical shit.
I don't think I hit any of those targets.
Well, I think we established in that video Jeff's not a very good shot. Who is Jeff?
He is one of my friends that I've known for quite a while.
Okay. I think there's another... I'll pause right there. Where is this on your property?
That would have been down in the very bottom right-hand corner of the property. So if you...
Let's see if I can pull up where was the aerial, Jeff? The board? I don't know that that's going to show...
man, I could pinpoint on the area.
Right, I would like to do that. Michael, could you help me?
It's under all the aerials, Michael.
Yes.
Second floor of the thing.
How about this? So where...
Okay, move the mouse, go to the dam on the pond.
Okay.
Keep going up towards that corner. No, the other way. So yeah, you would have had to gain access there, and then if you go left, keep going left.
Along this fence line?
Yes, sir. That's the edge of the property. So eventually, right.
But doesn't it turn and come back up this way?
Yeah, so down right in there is where the two property lines meet.
So up in this corner somewhere.
Yeah, so it's now going downhill into a creek. And then it starts going back uphill. So you have trees and everything. No houses back there.
Now, this is you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Same day?
Yes.
This is your Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing you another video. So those videos, the second one you would say that you were just using what would that have been an AR-15?
Yes.
And the first video you had an AR-15 and what appeared to be a handgun. What type of gun was that?
That was Jeff's gun. I really want to say that was a 9mm. I'm not 100% certain on what caliber it was, but both those guns were his.
And those would be, that would be a form of shooting, tactical shooting.
Yeah, I mean, the way I was doing it, yeah, that had a lot of, my training on how I would shoot. Just the terrain that we had and what I was wearing, I wouldn't call it very tactical. But yes.
You were interviewed with Scott in one interview, or with Chris. I'm sorry, Scott. It's been a long day, as you know. You were interviewed with Chris together. Do you remember that at one point?
There was a couple times, yes.
Y'all were interviewed at the same time, and y'all were interviewed apart. You remember that?
Yes.
Right. And you were interviewed one time, much later, by the GBI. Do you remember that? At the district attorney's office in 2019?
I believe so. There was a lot of interviews, so.
And do you remember in that interview that after about 3.5 hours, you concluded, stopped the interview? You brought it to an end. You said you weren't taking this anymore. Do you remember that?
I don't remember saying those exact words and all, but
That was the general idea?
yeah, I remember one day I was there all day long and I had nothing to eat and I was exhausted and I mean, I said everything that I could think of. I mean,
Did you consider yourself a suspect at that point?
if I consider myself,
Did you consider yourself a suspect at that point?
I didn't think myself as a suspect, but they, treated me like a suspect, and I fully understand why they would.
And
But
it was a different investigator. You'd always dealt with Detective Hayes.
Yes, I've dealt with a lot of different people during this whole situation.
Would you say that the most person you've dealt with is Detective Hayes?
Majority of them, yes, would be with him.
And Detective Hayes, the first year in 2018, seemed to be going with everything you had to say, yes?
I mean, I gave him what information I knew, yes.
Didn't ask you about your guns and your bullets.
I mean, he asked, I think I remember him asking me about what type of guns I had and everything like that.
And I'll get to talk to Detective Hayes about that in a number of days. But you remember in 2019, well over a year after July the 3rd, 2018, you remember then, that's when they started to really look at you. Yes, you remember that. Talking about the bullets. That's when they went back out to the property and combed it for your bullets. Yes?
They asked me if I ever did any shooting, and I said yes. I always had friends over, and they asked, well, can you show us where that area was? I said, yeah, babe, more than happy to. So I took them to the area that we always did shooting. And I think they might have asked if they've ever seen Melody down there, and I, told them I don't ever really remember her being down there. But yeah, I told them where we used to go shooting at, and they asked if we ever did it anywhere else, and I said, no, that was majority of it right there. It was the safest place to shoot.
And then, ultimately, the GBI did interview you months after that Hayes interview. Totally separate and aside from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. You remember?
Yeah, I remember there's some point, like I said, there was a lot of different people who interviewed me.
You're aware that a .357 can shoot a .38? I said that right. .357 can shoot a .38.
No, I'm not aware of
You're
that.
not aware of that. Multiple times you've testified made statements through the year. You didn't have revolvers, but you did have a revolver once upon a time, did you not?
I had my grandfather's revolver at one point. It was a .357 revolver.
Right.
Long barrel, Yes, I took it with me down to Fort Benning because I did deer hunting and hog hunting down there, and I wanted to use it to hunt hogs with.
And I believe you told Detective Hayes in 2020 that it was stolen from you when you were down in Columbus, when you lived in Columbus.
Yes.
Would it shock you, and that would have been about 2012, but would it shock you that my office, and I believe the state has agreed to admit these, that my office conducted an open records request of the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Columbus Police Department. And so at this time I would ask to admit Scott 100, Scott 99, Scott 98, Scott 97.
No, Judge, no, Judge.
Can we switch over to the Elmo one last time, Judge? So you told Detective Hayes that you had a .357 stolen, and he was asking you all this information, and I don't believe it was followed up on, but I did it. And here's what I found. After we requested from both law enforcement institutions down there, Columbus Police, from a date range of 2008 to 2015, specifically we are looking into an incident where a .357 Magnum or other firearms belonging to Scott Walker Farris were reported stolen. We are requesting copies of any incident reports, 911 recordings, transcripts, CAD reports, any and all records is what we asked for. I signed it at some point. But we sent it off back in September. And we received an email within days that there are no records in our system for Scott Walker Farris. Gave him your date of birth at all. So we doubled up and we looked with Muskogee County. And would you believe they found no records either? And they told us to contact the Columbus Police Department. So I'm going to ask you this right now, Scott Farris. That gun was never stolen, was it?
Yes,
You
it
made
was.
no report, did you?
No, I called so we came back from the field. I lived with two other guys. We came back from the field and our house was ransacked, and we called 911. And at the time he said, have you noticed anything missing? I was like, I don't know. We have to go through the house. And once I was able to, put my house back together, he gave us his number and all, and he said, if you find anything missing, let me know. And so I called him and told him that I had a 9mm and that .357. I don't have any VINs on them or anything, but I can't find them now. And then my roommates told Told them about some of their stuff that was taken as well too.
So you say all that out. But there's obviously no record of it. And you know a 357 can shoot a 38 special. And that gun was not stolen, was it, Scott?
I do not know that a 357 could shoot a 38. I don't see how that's even possible. And I did file a report. I called the police when our house was ransacked, and they came out and, did their part. I have people who witnessed that were a part of it.
And Scott, you know that there was no gun in that basement in your mom's house that she would ever allow to be around those children. You know that. Yes?
I saw a gun down there.
But in fact, you did still have a 357. Yes? That gun that was clearly not stolen, there's no record of that. You lied to Detective Hayes. You're lying now to that jury.
Objection, Your Honor. This is purely argumentative. This is improper, counsel.
I withdraw it.
No, Judge, I object. It's purely improper.
I was going to let him answer it.
Well, then I'll answer the question.
And what was the question again?
How about I do this? You used that 357 to shoot your father, did you not?
No, because I never shot my father.
And that 357, I don't know where it is, but you went to Lake Lanier the day after you shot your father, did you not? You went to the lake, yes?
Yes, we went to the lake after playing golf.
Did you throw that 357 into Lake Lanier after you shot your father?
No, because I have not seen that 357 since 2012, I think it was, when my house was broken into.
And did your father, in fact, confront you that evening about being out again? Because through the text messages, we clearly have seen that you're constantly hiding from your father to go play golf, to go hang with your friends and not do your job. And he was always controlling your money, yes?
No, he wasn't controlling my money.
Did you shoot him at the barn, Scott?
I never shot my father.
Did you take that bullet and put that bullet in the floor in your mother's house?
I never knew of that bullet.
You would agree with me that it's absurd that there is no blood of any serious measure of your father's in that house consistent with being shot in the house. Yes?
I haven't seen the evidence amount of, the only picture of blood that I've seen is what you've come across the screen. I haven't been told about how much blood was found in the house. All I know is the one drop of blood that I noticed, but I don't know.
You knew how to work a fire. Yes? You worked fires with your dad. You put one out. Remember? You went in there and you stuck your hand through the wall and you were trying to put the fire out in the wall years before. You remember that, yes?
Yes.
Were the hairs on your hands singed? Can you hold your hands up? Were they singed at all from that evening?
I don't remember. On some of the evening of what? You talking about the fire that I was trying to put out in the house?
Yes, that one.
So during the daytime when fire department came and I saved my parents' house from fully burning down, I don't remember the hair on my hands being singed.
How about on July the 3rd?
There's no way I could do that because I was never around a fire on July the 3rd.
Did anybody from law enforcement ask you if it was? Your hands were singed?
No, I don't ever remember if...
They only ever did an accelerant test, yes?
They did some kind of test. They swabbed my hands there in the driveway of the house. I do remember that. I don't know what it was for, but they asked if they could swab my hands, and I was like, yes. 6'6", I know.
Could you stand for the jury, please?
Sure.
And how much do you weigh?
Currently I'm about 280.
You can have a seat. You understand that you are the only person on the property who could have physically pulled off what the district attorney's office and the state has alleged that your mother did. You're aware you're the only person. You even said so in your own interviews that she would have had had help. Didn't you say that?
There's a possibility, a chance of that, you know, she could have needed help, but, you know, yes, it has came across me many a times because of my size and the size of my father. Yes, I was going to be looked at like that, but I had nothing to do with it. But I've also seen, you know, you always see people on the news being able to do stuff under, you know, how would you say it, when their adrenaline's rushing and stuff. They're able to do things that they thought they'll never be able to do.
Well, Scott, you would agree. I'm asking, this is my question, and I'll sit down. It's your proposal to this jury that something that's strange and odd on the news about these stories of adrenaline and picking up cars and all these very odd things, that would be somehow how your mother pulled off moving a 300-pound man in the house instead of the very obvious solution, which is that the one person on the property who could move him did move him, and that's you. That's all I have.
Just my redirect. I won't be fast.
All right, we'll see. Go ahead.
And Mr. Williams, for the record, these videos that we're going to mark, do you mind if I just say the date on them? Is that okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
These are in August, I believe, of 2015. Is that right, Scott? Let me judge if we can switch. You're fine. I'm not going to be here long. You're fine. We'll look at those real quick. Paris 12 through 15, I think. So
Okay,
what you did.
Yeah, no objection.
Judge, at this time, I'm continuing into evidence S. Ferris 12 through S. Ferris 15.
Any objection?
I don't think so. Any objection?